Hey, my name is Marky Pie and today we're taking a look at the history of Pokémon main handheld game. And for those of you who don't know what Pokémon is, Pokémon is a media franchise managed by the Pokémon Company, a Japanese consortium between Nintendo, Game Freak, and Creatures Company. The franchise copyright is shared by all three companies, but Nintendo is the sole owner of the trademark. The franchise was created by Satoshi Tajiri in 1995, and is centered on fictional creatures called Pokémon, which humans, known as Pokémon trainers, catch and train to battle each other for sport. The Pokémon series began with the release of Pocket Monsters Red and Green for the Game Boy in Japan. When these games proved extremely popular, an enhanced blue version was released sometime after, and the blue version was reprogrammed as Pokémon Red and Blue for international release. The original green version was never released outside Japan. Afterwards, in 1998 a second enhanced remake, Pokémon Yellow, was released to use the color palette of the Game Boy Color and more of a stylistic resemblance to the popular Pokémon anime. This first generation of games introduced the original 151 species of Pokémon, in National Pokédex order, encompassing all Pokémon from Bulbasaur to Mew, as well as the basic game concepts of capturing, training, battling and trading Pokémon with both computer and human players. These versions of the games take place within the fictional Kanto region, though the name Kanto was not used until the second generation. The second generation of Pokémon video games began in 1999 with the Japanese release of Pokémon Gold and Silver for the Game Boy Color, with Australia and North America getting the game in October 2000 and European release date of April 2001. Like the previous generation, an enhanced version titled Pokémon Crystal was later released. This generation introduced 100 new species of Pokémon, starting with Chikorita and ending with Celebi, for a total of 251 Pokémon to collect, train, and battle. New gameplay features include a day and night system, reflecting the time of the day in the real world, which influences events in the game, full use of the Game Boy Color's color palette, an improved interface and upgraded inventory system, better balance in the collection of Pokémon and their moves, statistics, and equipable items, a new addition, the addition of 2 new Pokémon types, Dark and Steel, to better balance the strengths and weaknesses of each Pokémon, Pokémon breeding, and a new region named Johto. After exploring Johto, the player can travel east to explore the adjacent Kanto region. Pokémon entered its third generation with the 2002 release of Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire for Game Boy Advance and continued with the Game Boy Advance remakes of Pokémon Red and Green, Pokémon FireRed and LeafGreen, Red and Green representing the original Japanese first-generation games. Territories outside Japan instead saw releases of Red and Blue. An enhanced remake of Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire titled Pokémon Emerald followed after. The third generation introduced 135 new Pokémon, starting with Trico and ending with Deoxys, for a total of 386 species. It also features a more visually detailed environment compared to previous games, natures which affect Pokémon stats, a new 2-on-2 Pokémon battling mechanic, a special ability system applying to each Pokémon in battle, the Pokémon contest subgame, the new region of home, the ability to select the protagonist's gender and secret bases, customizable rooms where the player can display items they have collected in game and battle against real friends. However, this generation also garnered some criticism for leaving out several gameplay features, including the day and night system introduced in the previous generation, which was removed due to internal battery save problems, and it was also the first installment that encouraged the player to collect merely a selected assortment of the total number of Pokémon rather than every existing species. 202 out of 386 species are catchable in the Ruby and Sapphire versions. In 2006, Japan began the fourth generation of the franchise with the release of Pokémon Diamond and Pearl for Nintendo DS. The games were subsequently released in North America on April 22, 2007 and in Australia on June 21, 2007. The game was then later released in the UK and Europe on July 27, 2007. Other main series games in the 4th generation include Pokémon Platinum, a director's cut version of Diamond and Pearl in the same vein as Pokémon Yellow, Crystal, and Emerald. It was released for the Nintendo DS in Japan on September 13, 2008, in North America on March 22, 2009, and in Australia and Europe on May 14, 2009 and May 22, 2009 respectively. It was also announced that the Generation 2 games Pokémon Gold and Silver would be remade for the Nintendo DS as Pokémon HeartGold and SoulSilver. First released in Japan on September 12, 2009, the games were later released to North America, Australia, and Europe during March 2010. The 4th generation introduces another 107 new species of Pokémon, starting with Turtwig and ending with Arceus, bringing the number of Pokémon species to 493. This generation is the first to have 3D graphics in a main series game, although it is still a mixture of both 3D graphics and sprites, and the new region of Sinnoh, which has an underground component for multiplayer gameplay in addition to the main overworld. The 5th generation of Pokémon began on September 18, 2010 with the release of Pokémon Black and White in Japan. They were then released in North America, Europe, and Australia in March 2011. They were released on the Nintendo DS, the same console as its predecessing generation. The games take place in the Unova region. New features include the Sea Gear, a feature where players can use Wi-Fi options and customizations, 2 new battle methods, triple battles, where 3 Pokémon are sent out at once, and rotation battles, where 3 Pokémon are also sent out at the same time, but the trainer can switch 1 Pokémon out of the 3 that are present, battle tests, where trainers battle each other to see who has stronger Pokémon. This generation introduced a total of 156 new Pokémon, beginning with Victini and ending with Genesect, the most of any generation so far. It was also the first generation where the first new Pokémon in National Pokédex order, Victini, is not a starter. It also introduced another new feature, the Seasons, from which 2 Pokémon, Deerling and Sawsbuck, represent them. The other core series games, and the additions to Black and White, titled Pokémon Black 2 and White 2, are direct sequels. They take place in the Unova region 2 years later, and were released in Japan on June 23, 2012 and in North America, Australia, and Europe in October of that year for Nintendo DS. They are somewhat different of their predecessors, there are different protagonist trainers, and many of the other important characters have changed as well. The games also introduced a new feature, the Pokémon World Tournament, where trainers can battle gym leaders and champions from older regions, including Unova. The games also broke the tradition of releasing a 3rd version as the addition to the primary versions. On January 8, 2013, Satoru Iwata announced the 6th generation of Pokémon, with the new paired games, Pokémon X and Y, which were released on the Nintendo 3DS on October 12, 2013 worldwide. The X and Y games are rendered in full 3D. However, only select parts of the game can be displayed in stereoscopic 3D. This generation introduced a total of 72 new Pokémon, the new Fairy type, Mega Evolution. The Kalos region, trainer customization, super training, and 3 new battle modes, Sky Battles, Horde Encounters, and Inverse Battle. This generation is also the first to be compatible with Pokémon Bank. On May 7, 2014, Nintendo revealed the games Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, remakes of the 3rd generation games Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire. They were released worldwide in November 2014. During a Nintendo Direct presentation on February 26, 2016, 2 new Pokémon titles were announced, titled Pokémon Sun and Moon. The games were released on November 18, 2016 in Japan, North America, and Australia, and in Europe on November 23, 2016. It's based in the fictional Alola region, which itself is loosely based on Hawaiian and Pacific Islander culture. And this is the summary of Pokémon main handheld game. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments below. See you next time.